All right, let's get right into it. If you're a runner, you know this feeling all too well. You've trained for months, your legs are ready to go, but there's a battle going on that has nothing to do with the finish line. It's happening inside your stomach. We're talking about runner's gut, and in this explainer, we're going to break down the science and the hard data to help you finally win that war.
You've definitely asked yourself this question, right? Probably while you were bent over on the side of a trail or making a desperate dash for the nearest bathroom. It feels like your entire race, all of that training, can just come down to whether or not your digestive system decides to play nice on that particular day.
And if you think it's just you are so not alone. I mean, just look at these numbers. The data shows that anywhere from 30% to a truly staggering 90% of distance runners deal with gastrointestinal issues. Think about that. On any given race day, up to 9 out of every 10 runners around you could be going through the exact same thing. This is a massive issue in our sport.
So how are we going to tackle this? Well, first, we'll get a handle on the problem itself. Then we'll dive deep into the science of why it happens. From there, we'll pivot to real, data-backed solutions covering hydration, fuel timing, and even specific food triggers. And we'll wrap it all up with a strategy to actually train your gut to perform better.
Okay, first things first. Let's talk about the complaint itself, because this is so much more than just a little bit of discomfort. The symptoms can totally derail a race you've poured months of your life into.
Yeah, this list is not fun. We're talking about everything from bloating and cramps to nausea, heartburn, and that dreaded, urgent need for a bathroom. And in really severe cases, it can even cause some intestinal bleeding. In fact, studies show that as a runner, you have almost double the risk of GI problems compared to athletes in other endurance sports like cycling or swimming.
So, what is the deal? Why does running seem to cause so much turmoil? That brings us to the science. It really all boils down to a fundamental conflict happening inside your body every single time you head out for a run.
Now, to really get a grip on the problem, let's look at a worst-case scenario. It's a condition called ischemic colitis. Now, it's rare in runners, thankfully, but it happens when the gut is deprived of so much blood that the tissue actually gets inflamed. It's a perfect, if extreme, illustration of the central issue, a battle for blood flow.
Here's an easy way to think about it. When you're just chilling out, your gut gets plenty of blood flow to handle digestion. No problem. But the second you start running, your body has to make a choice. It can send blood to your stomach to process that pre-run meal, or it can send it to your legs to keep you moving. And guess what? It can't do both at full capacity at the same time.
And the numbers here are just wild. During a hard run, the blood flow to your entire digestive system can plummet by up to 80%. 80! Your gut basically gets put on lockdown because its main resource pipeline has been almost completely shut off. And where does all that diverted blood go? You guessed it, it gets rerouted to your working muscles. We're talking an increase of as much as 20 times the normal blood supply to your quads and hamstrings. This is that internal tug of war, visualized. Your muscles are demanding oxygen, and your body answers that call by stealing it from your gut. This is the root cause of runner's stomach.
Okay, so that brings us to our first solution, the hydration equation. Now that we understand the problem is all about blood flow, we can start to fix it. And the most critical piece of this puzzle is, without a doubt, hydration.
See, being dehydrated makes that whole blood flow problem way, way worse. The data gives us a really important number to remember. You want to avoid losing more than 2% of your body mass in fluid. Once you cross that line, your blood volume actually drops, which starves your gut of resources even more. And for any run that's over an hour, plain water just isn't going to cut it. You have to replace the electrolytes, especially sodium, that you're losing in your sweat.
All right, just as important as what you drink is when you eat. It's simple, right? If your body can't digest and run at the same time, then the timing of your fuel becomes absolutely crucial. And honestly, this is where so many of us go wrong.
The data here gives us a super clear guide. Look at the direct relationship in this table. A big meal, something over 600 calories, you need a solid 3 to 4 hours for that to digest. A medium-sized meal, you're looking at 2 to 3 hours. And even a light snack like a banana still needs at least 30 minutes. If you try to run before that window closes, you're basically asking your body to fight a war on 2 different fronts. It's not going to end well.
But what if you have your timing and your hydration dialed in and you're still having problems? Well, that brings us to decoding your triggers. For a lot of runners with sensitive stomachs, the culprit can be a group of sneaky compounds called FODMAPs.
Yeah, I know, FODMAP is a mouthful. You don't need to memorize the name.
Here's what you do need to know. These are just specific types of sugars that our bodies aren't very good at absorbing. So they travel down to the large intestine where they cause a double whammy of trouble. First, they pull water into your gut, and second, the bacteria in there ferment them, which produces a ton of gas. And that combo, extra water and extra gas, is a total recipe for disaster when you're trying to run.
So which foods are we talking about here? This survey data is incredibly revealing. I mean, just look at this chart. Lactose, the sugar in dairy, is the #1 offender. A massive 86.5% of athletes who avoid these foods point the finger at lactose. Fructose and others are up there too. This gives you a fantastic starting point if you want to play detective and find your own personal triggers.
But the real question is, does cutting these foods out actually work? The evidence is pretty clear. For runners who really struggle with this stuff, implementing a low FODMAP diet has a 70 to 75% success rate in reducing their GI problems. That is a huge statistic that points to a really effective strategy if you feel like you've tried everything else. And that brings us to our final and maybe most important section, training your gut to win. This is all about being proactive. You see, you don't have to just avoid problems. You can actually train your digestive system, just like a muscle, to better handle the stress of running and fueling. So how do you do it? It's a pretty straightforward process. Rule number 1, the golden rule of running. Nothing new on race day. You use your long training runs to practice your race day fuel plan exactly as you intend to execute it. Then, you can gradually, systematically increase the amount of carbs you're taking in during those runs to build tolerance. Keep a detailed journal. Connect the dots between what you ate and how you felt. It's all about personalized, systematic testing.
The legendary marathoner Bill Rogers absolutely nailed it when he said this: "More marathons are won or lost at the porta-toilets than at the dinner table." It's kind of funny, but it is also painfully true. It just hammers home how critical it is to get your gut health right if you want to reach your running potential.
So, as we wrap this all up, I've got one last question for you. You spend months and months training your legs, your heart, your lungs for the big day. But are you putting that same focus and effort into training the one system that can undo all of that hard work in an instant? Your legs are trained, but is your gut?